Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming out to the Higher Road podcast. I'm with our guest, Rex Tilton. He is a 14-year principal dancer at Ballet West, professor at University of Utah, teacher
adjunct,
at University of Utah. I mean, the accolades go on and on. He was on the seasons 1 and 2 of Breaking Point. And he is trained, you trained at the Pacific Northwest Ballet?
Yep, in Seattle.
Okay, and then San Francisco Ballet, Pittsburgh Ballet, and one of the most interesting things among all his many accomplishments is he comes from a family of 7 kiddos.
Yep.
All of them were in ballet, or most of them, or all?
All of them.
All of them are in ballet. Homeschooled, mom homeschooled 7 kids, dad ran a company. He experienced life in a really unique and fascinating way, and this is the conversation that we had.
Going, you know what? Maybe this homeschooling thing is for us, or people realize this is not for us.
I remember back in the day, homeschool kids were just socially awkward to the point of almost insane.
Ballet and manual labor. That has actually helped me start a business with my wife.
How much is a pair of ballet shoes?
Point shoes, the ones the girls wear, those are like $120. It'll be for a certain group of individuals who will like having a robot. So I'm one of 7.
Oh yeah,
kids,
that's an army.
Yeah, and in Southern California at the time, when she was homeschooling us, homeschooling was pretty like hush-hush. Like we had to hide it.
Well, it's weird. It's finally not weird anymore.
Yeah, but we like state like laws and stuff like that were like really cracking down on like homeschooling at the time. So we were always worried that like we were going to get in a lot of trouble like as a family homeschooling and a lot of different homeschooling families. So my mom started a school that was connected to like a private Christian school to like make it all legal and everything like that. And that took so much work. Like that was something that my mom spent so much time on just to make sure that we were like in compliance to do all this sort of stuff. And there was a lot of families that were a part of it. And it was a very good thing. The problem is like the mentality of education that everyone grew up around, that can't be the status quo when you're homeschooling. It has to be like all day long. Mm-hmm. It's an all day long affair. Like you're learning, you're not going home and doing homework. You're learning from when you wake up to when you go to bed. And it's a completely different idea than like going to private school and like you have your school time, then you go home, then you just do a little bit of homework, spend some time with the family. That's all the time. You have to find a way to educate your kids. So that's what my mom did, putting us in so many different activities. So like
it's really hard.
It's a lot.
It's
we did
so
school in the
much
car
work.
from thing to thing, right? So we were doing multiple instruments: piano, cello, violin, guitar.
Wow.
Different
Go
dance.
mom.
I know, right? Like we were all doing different kinds of dance, like ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop.
Your dad helped?
Yeah, as much as he could. I mean, he owns his business, so like he had kind of a flexible schedule, but not really.
But that's the bandwidth. This can only happen, right? The homeschool can only happen if the dad or whoever's working with the mom is making sure that the funds are coming in to allow it. And I wonder if one of the reasons it was so hard in California is it's almost like California is the archetype of like government subserviency.
I would say
like
so,
obey
yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
We
There's
know
a
better
huge
than you
system.
know for yourself, right?
Yeah. It's I think that they put so much money into like the education system there anyway. Like it's just insane how much money goes through that, aspect of the government, and they want everyone to go through that like system. And it wasn't until I feel like the pandemic where people started kind of going, you know what, maybe this homeschooling thing is for us, or people realized this is not for us. Like when they had their kids at home, like for more than a couple of hours a day. They're like, we can't do this.
It takes a special person.
It does, yeah. And I've been asked that, like when I've done some like stuff for Ballet West, like going out into the community, because we used to do community outreach. That was a thing. I would get a lot of questions from families saying, like, you were homeschooled. Should we homeschool our kids? I'm like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
It's hard.
It is a lifestyle. It is like you can't do what you normally do. Like you don't have that schedule. You don't have that like day-to-day like thing that you can rely on. It is at all times, every day, you're constantly educating your children. And there's a responsibility there that a lot of people don't realize, is that they don't appreciate the teachers that are working with their kids on a day-to-day basis. You can tell those people are underpaid for what they do, for what they are doing. It's insane. I love my kids' teachers. They're amazing people. And it's like, I will give them as much grace as they want, because like I know that I couldn't do it, and I teach for a living right now. So like it is one of those things. And in childcare too, I really appreciate people, and just I'm in awe of people that can watch over other people's kids with as much diligence as they do. It's like I couldn't imagine doing it, right? So I have like a kid in childcare. I'm like, all those people, I'm like, I worship you. You're so cool.
You know something interesting now? The technology with the programs and the applications and all the things that are out there for homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
Our homeschool starts at about what time? 9 o'clock, and they're done at 11:30, 12.
Wow.
And because the program, they do their math, they do their
right, yeah.
science, but the history, that's where it's like, okay, but what can you do to teach history? Well, let's go take a little road trip.
Yeah.
Let's watch a movie.
Yeah.
Let's do this fun thing. Let's go out into nature and learn about photosynthesis. And that's where it's more involved.
Yeah.
So if you have a really big family, I can't even imagine 7 kids. I can't even imagine the amount of like Excel spreadsheets and to-do tasks, right? Was she alone doing this for all 7 of you?
So we had a homeschool group. So like a bunch of like families, we came together, and when there was a subject that required like group participation and say a lot of resources to kind of get together to teach a subject, it was like 4 or 5 core families. We'd always do everything together. And I'm, one of those families, the boys like that I grew up with, like he was my best man at my wedding. Like these are lifelong relationships that we created through homeschooling. And
yeah, it's like a family.
It is. And that was probably that, and then private tutoring. So in Southern California, a lot of like high school teachers and stuff like that, they would do like tutoring for homeschoolers and stuff like that. Really wonderful people. They would just like spend their like any sort of free time when they weren't working at their high school or whatever, like they were working with us. And that ended up being really beneficial. And then some online tutoring back in the day of 56K modems.
Yeah,
and like,
wow.
yeah,
That's
landlines,
awesome.
everything's just like, yeah, it was really hard. I remember just like in the middle of a class, and someone would call the home and it would cut us off because we didn't have a separate line. It's like our phone line, landline, and the internet were coming through the same line. It wasn't until later.
Can you even imagine that? Let's pause school for everyone today. There's a phone call.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Crazy.
Yeah. What's interesting is now the homeschool community, the homeschool curriculum environment. That's the word I'm looking for. The homeschool environment is so different.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I'm 40, what am I, 46, going on 47. And I remember back in the day, homeschool kids were just, and bless their hearts, it was just socially awkward to the point of almost insane. Like, I watch a homeschool kid walk up to someone who's like, you look really fat and old.
Right. Like,
And
why
they
would
just
you
kind
say
of look
that?
at him like, but there was, their social skills were just, I mean, literally borderline handicapped a lot of times.
Sure. Yeah.
And because there was no
one of
social
them.
environment. But now today, it's incredible.
Yeah.
There's thousands of groups and families. I mean, millions of people are doing it.
Oh yeah.
So before you might have, I bet you it was thousands across the country. I bet you it might not even have been, maybe 10,000 or something.
Yeah.
Now it's millions upon millions, curriculum, programs. My gal's system is part of a, what is it called? Liber or something. But it's this beautiful system of, teaching this kids. They get together once a week in a large group, but there's couple hundred kids all coming together, and they're learning. They have classrooms, and it's teaching leadership, and it's more about thinking. And I'm curious what you think about this, because I really think there's a shift happening. Because with the more artificial intelligence, the more that technology, right? You and I don't know how old you are, but for me, it's like calculators were a thing.
They were a thing,
right? And it's still kind of a thing, but before it was your brain was the thing, the calculator was the assistant. Now the calculator is the thing, your brain is the assistant.
Right.
And now it's going to where no more calculators, it's just tell the computer to do the math.
Right.
And what I feel like it doesn't matter what I feel like, this is what's happening.
Yeah, that's what.
There's going to be 500 to 600 million jobs displaced because of artificial intelligence, minimum. And that's over the next 5 to 7 years. That, people don't understand the global impact of that. I mean, that's world terraforming. It's changing everything forever.
I think you're being modest with the number, honestly. I think it's going to be way more than that.
Well, yeah, those are the bare minimums.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's before robots, right? Elon Musk is building, he said he wants to build millions of robots, and that's just to run his companies. So if that happens, right, now you're going to be talking, I mean, the job displacement will be probably, billion plus by that point. Let's say that's a decade from now. What does the world look like?
Yeah.
Where do we go? I have ideas, but I'm curious what you think. Where do we go with this displacement? How does that affect us financially? What do we do next?
Yeah. So how I feel is that there's like an ebb and flow of like energy in life and throughout history. And some people have described it as like a circular pattern to like what's going on, like different periods of depression, periods of like growth, periods of like turmoil, all that sort of stuff. And what is going to happen with AI is that there's going to be a point of rejection, like a really strong point of rejection. I talk about uncanny valley. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
Uncanny valley is like it's an idea that humans will reject, like subconsciously reject things. I'm probably butchering it, but they'll reject things that look like it's trying to mimic reality. So for an example, robotics. As soon as they start making, androids that look like humans, they're going to be rejected because there's like a thing inside of humans that will know it's not a human, and it'll become more and more obvious that they're not human. And the idea of like a caricature would be more acceptable. Like a robot that definitely looks like a robot would be more acceptable than, say, an android that looks like a human. People are going to be like, "Ooh, that's not right. I'm going to reject that. It's too close to home."
Well, and it feels fake.
It feels fake, and everyone has that built inside. So with AI, I think that the market is going to evolve a little bit. People are going to find out what actually works and what people are actually into. I don't think the robot assistant thing is going to go as planned. I think that's going to be, it'll be for a certain group of individuals who will like having a robot. I think for 90%, 95% of the population, that's probably not going to be a thing, because it's not going to be as beneficial as like the cost of like what it would do for you. Like there's also the usage of AI. People still reject it. Like, even though it can make things easier, it can streamline work, flows. It can do a lot of really good things right now, and we're just at the beginning of phase of it, and people are rejecting it still. So I think that is going to get bigger. That idea of there's people that reject it, and there's people who are pushing it, And then there's going to be a time of adjustment where it's like, okay, AI is actually good for this, that, and the other. And it's probably not going to be what AI companies are pushing for. They'd love everything. They'd love it if AI was in every aspect of our life.
Yeah, they don't have to pay AI.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to do it. I just don't think that people are going to. I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie Wall-E?
Yeah,
like the
sure.
Disney film Wall-E.
Yeah.
I think of Wall-E
All
all
the
the
blob-like people floating
Yeah.
around on their chairs
It's
eating,
not a
and
pretty
food is
future.
created out of on that ship, infinite food.
I think about that movie all the time because that is what happens to humans when laziness gets involved. It's then there's that moment of rejection, like towards the end of the movie, where they all come to like, oh my gosh, like what have we become? And I think that's a natural thing that humans go through. And I think that counterculture is always going to be a thing. There's always going to be the anti-AI movement where arts and stuff like that are going to become a part of that. I think the art industry is has to be really careful on what they're supporting and what they're not supporting, especially at this time. It's all in the news, like with Timothy Chalamet was like saying about like the ballet and the opera, like no one cares about it. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, because the people that are pushing the money, the power, the control, they don't care about the arts.
They don't care about people.
Yeah. I mean, it's the human aspect.
Yeah, exactly. The arts is...
It's human.
Yeah, it's the most human thing we can do, because for me, I'm a religious fella, and to create is to be the closest we could ever come to our creator.
It's edifying.
Yeah,
100%.
and so when you create something that's real and it's original for you, and it's your own unique blueprint or way of doing something, there's a real power in that. But guess what's not in that? Control.
Right.
Right? Because when you're creating, you're really free, right? You're free to create. Use your imagination. That's one thing that's so beautiful about homeschool, is in traditional school, the teacher can only really teach at the lowest 30% of the curriculum or the classroom.
Right.
So the curriculum has to follow with the lowest 30% because they can't leave that many behind. But in a homeschool environment, you can see your kids specialize, and you can see their passions and what they're excited about. And you can go 70-30.
Yeah.
70% fuel that passion.
Yeah.
And then, show them other things and see what they pick up on. And you can go as fast as they want to go. If they want rocket fuel and want to travel the country, there's a kid at his mom and their other kids are at the school, the homeschool we're at. But her other son is at a different homeschool community. I forget what it was called. But he just got 6th or 8th place in the entire nation in ballroom dancing, Latin ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
And because of homeschool, they were able to fuel that. And it's not like other kids can't do great things, but they were able to discover this interesting thing. They were see that he loves it that much, and then fuel it
Put the resources into it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I remember a quote. I'm gonna quote someone. I'm pretty sure it was Mike Rowe, because he's a very wise person. But he
really is. I love Mike Rowe.
Yeah, Mike Rowe is amazing. So he mentioned that it's probably a good idea for kids to get good at 3 different things, like nerd out on it, get good at it. If they have a passion for it, let it go, just like push at it, because you never know where those 3 things are going to intersect with what they're actually going to do with their life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
so
that.
It's like so let's just take me for example, music, ballet, and manual labor. That has actually helped me start a business with my wife. And that was stuff that we did as homeschoolers. I worked for my dad's business, and just
what did your dad do?
He's in real estate in Southern California, so commercial real estate. So a lot of the work that I did was like HVAC, demo, like some electrical, some plumbing. Don't tell anyone, but like a lot of that sort of stuff. And that is dirty work that helped me realize that like the world doesn't just run on feelings. It's like, it's just work. It's like everyone has to work. You have to work. And then I was playing multiple instruments, dancing, all that sort of stuff. And if you were looking at it back then, you'd say, wow, that's a really interesting combination of things you're having your kids do there. Now I have a business where I get to do all three of those things, right? So that's how we got started is like ballet summer intensives. And when we ran out of space, my wife was like, we can't have a summer intensive. Like, I'm going to make you a dance floor that's portable.
This is the company you run now.
Yeah, Art Emotion. So like I looked at the problem instead of thinking, oh, we can't afford this, we can't afford a studio. I was like, no, I'll make you a ballet floor. I'm going to make you ballet bars, and we're going to set up ballet studios in just like anywhere. And that's what we did, and we started this, you know,
So you,
over
so
10
you
years
actually,
ago.
not only do you teach and train the children, but you also have a construction component of it that says, we'll build you what you need.
Right, yeah. And
I love that.
It's so useful because it's like ballet is, you know, obviously a very niche thing, but it's also extremely expensive and resource heavy.
Ballet is.
Yes. You need like temperature controlled rooms with specialized floor, with a subfloor, with enough cavitation that when you come falling down on the floor, that your force into the floor is dispersed like over a large area. So it's very
Similar
specialized.
to like a gym floor. Like
Even weirder because it has to be wood.
Oh, interesting.
It should be wood. It needs to have a hard surface, and then it needs to absorb your force and be good for girls on point. So it's very complicated.
On point's the tippy toe thing.
Yeah, the specific shoe with like they make them out. It's like wood and like cardboard and stuff like that. Old school stuff was wood, and then, you know, satin cloth, and you need a stable, like you can't do it on gym floor. Like your foot would just like sink into it, right? So no foam wouldn't work. And then the synthetic flooring that goes on top of it is so temperature dependent that you can't just like have it anywhere. It has to be the right temperature. And
wow, I didn't know all this.
Yeah, and mirrors. I don't know if you knew this, but having an entire 2,000 square foot, at least a side of a 2,000 square foot room, like mirrored completely, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like mirrors that aren't going to make you look like a Picasso, you know, like they have to be good mirrors because you use them as a tool. And this is just so someone could dance. So ballet is way more resource intensive than people even realize. And then the shoe costs specifically, the ballet shoe costs, like ballet companies spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on providing shoes for their dancers. It's a huge deal.
How much is a pair of ballet shoes?
Just like the cloth ones.
A good pair, a good professional pair.
Like I haven't bought some since I was a teenager, so it's like, 20 years ago. I think prices have probably changed since then. But like point shoes, the ones the girls wear, those are like 120.
And they'll go through more than one pair?
Yeah, like they'll go through multiple pairs in a week.
In a week?
Yeah. Yeah, some girls will go through a pair in a day. It's $120 right there.
What?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to say a couple of pairs, and then I was waiting for a year.
No, you go through them like flossing, like you're flossing your teeth. You're gonna go through like floss.
That is some freaking expensive floss.
Insane. And these are handmade. These shoes
Wow.
are handmade by only a handful of people worldwide.
So a few $1,000s a month, easy on shoes.
Easy. Yeah. Ballet is insane when it comes to like the resources required.
Dude. Yeah, I had no idea. It's kind of cool. What I like about your company, and it's Art Emotion, is construction and ballet. In a lot of minds, those would be very opposite.
Oh yeah.
Construction, dirt, spitting, tattooed, weather beaten, digging a hole, cursing, pissed off, cutting heavy machinery, sparks flying everywhere, and then the beautiful to every reaction there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? Yeah. So the equal and opposite reaction of that to me is like, then you think of ballet, which is beauty and graceful and calm. Insanely, ballet is so impressive when you look at, I mean, show me a fat ballet dancer, right? No, but you know what I'm saying, though, right? Like at a high level, though, they're ripped.
Yeah,
like,
no, it takes a lot.
And the things that they do blow my mind.
You're in a constant caloric deficit.
Yeah, and I
you're
watch.
not out of a caloric deficit.
I watch what they do, and it really is beautiful, though, because I'm like, to even try to do something. Now, I mean, imagine a ballet dancer, the typical ballet dancer, going into that hole trying to do what he do, or try to do what they're doing in that hole, digging, sledgehammers, heavy equipment, jackhammers, cutting. They'd really struggle.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, right, that construction guy jumping into the ballet room, isn't that so fascinating? How awkward and uncomfortable and not unbalanced and not flexible. It just wouldn't work. And there's a beauty in both, though. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in construction is when drywall fellas put up the drywall.
Oh my gosh!
And
it's an art form.
It is art.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've done drywalling.
Beautiful
and
to watch.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I just remember I hung a sheet of sheetrock and I'm putting my screws in, remembering where the studs are. I couldn't remember that one was, so I snapped a line, put them in, and I'm like, man, this is pathetic.
And then you see someone like throw it up, and they're like balancing it on their foot, and they're just like, bah, 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 bah. And you're like,
one dude, like,
how did you do this?
A 4x12 sheet, popping it up, using the little thing, holding it up, popping in the few screw holes, going out. Another guy coming behind him, cutting it, and there's and it's this beautiful. It really is like a dance.
Yeah,
it's this beautiful chemistry and choreography where everybody knows the next person's action. This guy takes his measuring tape, pulls it, and he keeps his razor. He doesn't even use a pencil. Runs down the thing, cuts the line, taps it, throws it behind him without even looking. The other guy catches it, pops it up, pops it on, puts on the drywall screws, and then the other guy behind him, he comes, shaves off the edges, slaps in the next piece, and I'm looking at that.
Yeah.
And it took me a week to do a room.
Right. Yeah.
And
it sounds about
and it was a small room. 3 guys came in who were super pros, been doing it like 20 years. And they did an area probably 7 times bigger than what I did in maybe 4 hours.
Right, yeah.
And it was better than my work, far.
What always like hurt my brain was like accommodating for like power, like the plugs, the wall plugs and stuff like that, like how quickly they could deal with that stuff, like cutting, making space.
Yes.
It's like they don't have to think about it. It's like in their body.
Like a truck driver backing a truck.
Right, yeah.
They just do it.
They have to use the force.
Yeah, well, but so again, the equal and I don't know if I would call it opposite. It's in a way I feel like it is complementary, but like with ballet, the movements, after a time it just becomes muscle memory, and how good the human mind and the human spirit is at like having
spirit.
It's system.
Yeah.
It creates a system within itself, and it's like, okay, this is what I know. We talked the other day about neuroplasticity, and these neural pathways, they get bigger, and you just get better at it.
Right.
And the thing you do less, they get smaller.
Yeah.
And so when those neural pathways, what is that thing they describe with professional athletes when you're in the zone? Like the flow state.
Yeah, the flow state, yeah.
Yeah, I've had that happen a few times, and I'm not a talented athlete. I got good at some sports because I worked harder than most people will ever work.
Right.
But I have the genetics of Gandhi and whatever on my white half side is like Swedes and English or whatever. I'm not
top percentile.
Yeah, whatever it is. But the reality is it was interesting. When you really get into that flow state, you're totally conscious, but you're so again, it's only happened a few times in my life, but I remember I was playing a basketball game. And I love basketball as a sport. I wrestled growing up because my friends did it. But if I would have gotten to basketball, I really love that game. And I keep it into perspective, though. We'll talk about that later. But I love that game. And I'm okay. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say I'm great. I can't dribble that great. Left-handed is only to save me here and there. But I got into this flow state. And I don't know how to explain it. My dribbling, it wasn't that my dribbling got so much better. But the mechanics, the movement of my body to, jump and shoot the ball, everything just made sense. I don't know how to explain it. It was incredible. I could not miss from any spot on the entire court. And this was a group I never played with before or since, but they had to think, oh my gosh, this guy's like a D1, But if they watched me dribble, they would know that's not true. But I could not miss, literally.
Yeah.
It was incredible. What causes the flow state? Do you know?
So what I try to teach my students is about visualization. So when you're doing something, you're not trying to think about what you're doing. You're trying to imagine yourself doing it
While you're doing it.
Wow. So like when you're dancing on stage, you don't want to be thinking about anything. You don't want to be thinking, is this what I'm doing right now? No. You're supposed to be acting, jumping around, doing all sorts of really difficult stuff. So how do we get out of that like getting stuck in our mind mentality where we're having to analyze everything that's happening? You don't.
Yeah, because I'll make a mistake and get in my head.
Right. Yeah. So it's the ability, I call it visualization, where it's like you're just imagining yourself doing it while you're doing it. And if you've built those neural pathways that you're talking about, it's a lot more natural. Like that's what you've trained your body to do. It's like you're allowing your body to take over. So you're not shutting off your mind. You're letting it just work. Right? So repetition.
Oh, I love that.
Repetition is a huge part of that. So a lot of repetition, and also not using the same like discernment skills that we get like on a day-to-day basis. It's like a very internalized like way of dealing with things. So you're driving in a car and you look, see a billboard, you're going to read the billboard, right? And like how we process that data like really quick. When you're dancing, it can't be like that. You can't like read something and take the time to like ingest that sort of like input.
Because you're always in the moment.
You're always in the moment. You're just letting your body do what it knows what to do. Like it knows how to do it. So when you're training every day, all day long, like for hours and hours and hours in ballet, your brain can still get in the way. And some people, that's like, they call it performance anxiety. And that is like a very general like sports like psychology problem where people just like have like this mental block where it's like either they're afraid to go on stage in front of a bunch of people or afraid of messing up. That's another thing. So it's the fear of messing up that keeps people from getting into this flow state.
Yes, absolutely. My biggest weakness when I would play sports is I would get mad at myself, and then I would get mad and madder, and because I'm like, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because what's happening is your mind is actually focusing on the failure. Yeah. It's focusing on the negative thing. It's focusing on why you can't do it and trying to analyze the negatives of why. And what you're saying with the flow state is essentially you're saying get out of your own way.
Yeah.
You've done this before. It's already in there somewhere. Get all those negative, get all those fear of failure, get all those fear of, and to me it's not even looking bad. Right. I'm in my own head. When I play a sport, my number one competitor is me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can lose. If I play a great game, okay. But if I played terribly and I've let my team down or I've let myself down, and I never played on a team other than like buddies playing at like church ball or something in Kansas. But what happens when I play a sport is it takes me to that feeling of not in control. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a control freak. I mean, I am. In business, I probably am more so. But I'm not with my wife and with my kids. It's like, you got to make mistakes. It's part of the process. But with myself, I'm a control freak.
Right.
And that feeling of not being in control and I can't do, and I get in my head, and then it's the feeling of failure.
Yeah.
Because I was watching us always be poor and always make bad decisions, and they wouldn't listen, and I couldn't change my environment, and I'm stuck with this bully stepdad. Mm-hmm. And then I go to school, I'm stuck. We can't go to a different school. We can't change. And so it's just, right? And then you feel like you're this animal trapped into a corner. So at that church game, I remember I punched a hole, or not a hole, I punched, that Berber carpet walls on the church walls, and BAM! I hit it because I was just so frustrated with myself, and that wall goes,
oh no.
And I'm like, oh, my bad. I didn't think I'd hit it that hard because people run into it full speed and hit it, and it doesn't, I thought it would be fine, but that's a smaller area, it makes sense. Next day in like church speaking conference or whatever, they talk about not damaging church buildings, and I was like, oh, oh snap!
Who would have done that?
I know. I'm
Wow,
like,
who would have done that?
well, well, babe. I looked over at my wife. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, no.
and so now you danced at the highest level, right?
Yep.
Were you the top or one of
I
the
was a
top?
principal. Yeah, I was a principal dancer. So
Principal is the guy,
yep.
and
Yep.
you did that for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yep. So I was promoted. Let's see here. It takes a little while to get up to that principal rank. Some people get there really fast, depending on the needs of the company at the time. But I was doing lead roles from my first year in the company. So
From day one.
pretty much. That was
Wow.
like right when I got in there.
Is
as
that
a
unheard of?
21
That sounds like that would be unheard of.
So it's not a universal experience because you usually go into a company and there's a set up hierarchy of like who's doing what. And at the time that I joined Ballet West, there was turnover. There was people who were retiring. There's people that were getting let go. There was an economic downturn. Like there was all this sort of stuff going on. And I was the kid coming in, and just the way things worked out, I ended up covering a lead role like towards the end of the first season. And they were like, well, you're the only guy, so you're going on stage.
So it was a bit of luck, but obviously you had to be good enough to keep the role.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was learning multiple roles, and then they threw me into this lead role because someone had to have surgery on their ankle, another person the repetitor didn't like, and there was all these things that happened, and they gave me the shot. I go on stage. The New York Times ballet critic, the main ballet critic for the New York Times, flew out from New York to see the show, and he gave me a good review.
You're being humble, but obviously you're very talented.
You know what? It's that flow state thing, because I don't have a problem with going on stage and performing what I know.
And you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I like to perform. Like, I like getting in front of people. I like going to karaoke and singing in front of, like...
That's my nightmare.
Dude.
Literally my nightmare.
Yeah, it is. It's
Either of those.
nerve-wracking, but it's like, at the same time, I have a lot of fun doing it. So performing, it actually bothered some of my coworkers. So like, I would mention, I was like, no, I don't get nervous at all. I'm excited.
Where did the love of ballet come from? You said you grew up instruments and ballet. Why ballet? Why not soccer or?
Well, so my dad wanted us to play soccer. He was our coach, and after he saw us run, he realized that was not gonna be a future.
Why? Wow. I'm just picturing the dad.
That was
like,
a joke
oh,
my
man.
dad once made when he was talking. He was asked about the ballet thing. It's like, why do you have a bunch of ballet dancers? He's like, well, I wanted them to play sports, and he was our soccer coach, and he's been in soccer like his whole life, and it became really clear early on that we weren't going to be soccer players. When he was coaching us, and that's just the truth.
But why?
Soccer,
what did he see that
soccer requires like a different kind of stamina. I have good stamina, but the running for like 3 to 6 miles a game and still having a brain and being able to make those moves like that's like a freakish level of athleticism that you have to be built a specific way to like enjoy playing soccer and being able to run nonstop, make really amazing finesse moves, like very tight movement, fast, all that sort of stuff. So soccer is like one of those things that I look at. I'm just like, yeah, amazing athletes.
A different type of build, a different type because no one's going to say that you're not a freakish athlete either.
No, and
it's just a different type.
I'm very coordinated, but the when you look at like soccer players, it's like you said, a very specific build. And let's just say I was built to play goalie.
The running is I did soccer for a few years growing up, and I just don't really enjoy it. I don't really. This will instantly take half the world off of wanting to watch anything that we say, but soccer was just never for me. And the amount of running, but the things that they can do. I just watch, I'll watch these videos. I just watched one this morning. I don't remember what it was. I was watching some YouTube clip and the commercial came on, and it was these people in Brazil. They're just everyday people, it seemed like, and what they could do with the soccer
Yeah.
ball. I mean, it's like an extension of their body.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just is a part of them. It was so effortless, and it was young kids and just everybody plays soccer.
Yeah.
Across the whole world.
I mean, that was us. Like we played soccer nonstop, but it was very obvious that we weren't going to have that as a future like profession. So
When you say we, all the kids?
yeah, we all played soccer and we all did ballet.
But how long did you play soccer before he said, yeah?
So I think I started at 7. Yeah, I was about 7 years old. We started in the local AYSO youth like soccer program, and then my dad started the homeschool like soccer league, and
Really?
so like Southern
I
California,
love that.
like, and so there was right from the start there was 4 homeschool groups that created teams, and we'd compete, and it was co-ed, but
Huh.
it was pretty intense, especially
All
because
that
of the
pent-up homeschool aggression.
yeah, like it was really good soccer, I thought, and my dad was running the whole thing, and it was a lot of fun. We had a rivalry. I was in San Marcos. We had a rivalry in Fallbrook, Oceanside, Escondido, and those are all the teams. Yeah, so all the teams were our rivals.
So your pop saw it, he looked, and the reality is you know what, I'll say it, sometimes other people say things better than you can say yourself because they've come up with a beautiful quote or whatever. And I remember watching this video of this Japanese, he was a Japanese fisherman, and his company was worth millions of dollars, and he was still cutting the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, why do you cut the fish? You have so many employees. And, you know, the Japanese, they focus on perfection. And they, like perfecting a tea party and how you pour the tea is a beautiful thing, right? It's just never achieving it, but just always working towards it. And I hate that I can't remember the word for it right now. But he said, I cut the fish because I love doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Because he takes out this beautiful, it looks kind of like a katana. It's not, but this beautiful sword and it's razor sharp. And watching the fish be cut, I love cutting things. And he said, my dad told me something, and I never forgot this. He said, if you love what you do, you will teach yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't love what you do, other people will have to teach you.
Right. Yeah.
And that stuck with me forever. I was like, how true that is. You didn't love soccer. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't love it.
No, I
But
mean,
then-
it's yeah, exactly.
But absolutely you can say you love to dance.
Yeah. So what got me into dance specifically, was being homeschooled. My older sister was doing ballet, and because of that, we were all homeschooled, and my sister wasn't driving herself. My mom was driving her. We all had to go with her. We weren't going to be left at home. So the owners of the ballet studio saw all of us boys like playing outside, and they were like, you can sign them up for free. Just you don't have to wait around. Like, they can take class. So me and my 3 other brothers and the little sisters, the twins, we all started ballet together, and that's how that happened. Why I liked ballet was because I grew up going to the library and getting my VHSs of all the classic films with like Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Ginger Rogers, Sid Charisse, like going.
My wife loves those films.
Like, that's all I watched. And I loved art, I loved singing, I loved dancing, and I realized that around the house I was doing ballet without even knowing what ballet was. So about 12 years old, I think it's 11, 12, about 12. I was about 12 years old. That's when my mom signed me up. And at first I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then I realized I loved it. First show, maybe the second show I was in, I was Peter Pan. I was the lead, and I loved doing the lead in the show.
See, that's one of the things that's just so beautiful about homeschool is you can see a talent, you can see a passion for something. And then you can just, you can just add fuel to it as much as they want. It really, though, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so let me jump back. When you were talking earlier about artificial intelligence, I actually thought I was going to disagree with you very heavily when you were saying, maybe only 10% of the people, and then you brought it around to where it'll more balance out.
Yeah, it
and
has
what
to.
am seeing happening in real time. I have a marketing company. We use AI, and I'm super pro AI and I'm super against AI.
Right.
And the way I describe it is AI is a beautiful thing if you never leave the driver's seat.
Yeah.
But the second you become the passenger and the AI becomes the driver, you've lost your humanity.
Yeah.
Because now that's the thing, and you're just supporting it versus it should always support you.
Yeah.
It's the artificial intelligence, you are the actual intelligence. And so what I'm seeing happen at the end of the day, you can always bet on the masses choosing the easier, more comfortable thing. Yeah. And so what's going to happen and is happening is there's this divide. I feel a greater desire to connect to the earth. I know it sounds weird and hippy-dippy, right?
No.
But to be barefoot in the dirt, to work in a garden, I just feel it in me, right? Because you're surrounded by all this fake and disingenuine. And even though it's a real thing, it's not the real thing. Right. It's not coming from a soul, a person. And it's almost like the vision I see in my imagination is literally people wearing like almost white robes to the point of, all into art. I think art's going to grow more. Sculpting is going to come back again. People woodworking and craftsmanship, because there's just not going to be enough jobs, right? If a machine can go out there and they can till the fields and you don't need 500 or 5,000 people running all over the farm picking the walnuts or whatever it is and doing all this manual labor, then the arts is a very opposite reaction, because that's pure creativity. That comes from a powerful internal soul-focused self, versus the other side is more machine. It's the mechanic side of the brain. Yeah. And that's what I really believe is happening. And there's going to be people that are like, I believe that the chip will happen. And for example, people are going to get that, the Neuralink chip into their mind. Yeah. And once they get this, who was I talking about this with? Carson, a good friend, wonderful person. We were talking about how fascinating AI will be. There's going to be this divide. And 100%. I'll use myself. I'll be looked at as inferior to this higher, capability mind with the Neuralink in it. But their mind is, where does their mind begin? And where does the Neuralink's mind begin? Right. And where does it end? Which one is which? Who's controlling who? Because if you have a Neuralink, you literally now have the information of the World Wide Web, the Library of Alexandria times a billions in your mind and accessible. Yeah. And then someone like me who would never in a million years get that implanted into their brain is going to be looked at in many ways as a lesser form of intelligence. And I think that divide is going to be very intense and very extreme.
The rejection that I was talking, I think we're saying the same thing, actually. When I mentioned the rejection. The rejection is not rejecting of using AI. It's rejecting what, it's very clear the people that are pushing AI, they have a vision of how things are going to be in the future that is too radical for your average person to be interested. There's still people out there that, they actually enjoy a Nokia flip phone. Yeah. There's still people out there that wish they could just hook up their DVD player instead of streaming. Like there is, it's guilty. Not just nostalgia, it's actually simplicity. Yeah. Now, when you're going to this always connected sort of problem, this is where we can get into the details of what I'm talking about. The always connected. So what's happened in the video game industry, we'll use that as a good example because it's kind of crazy. The always connected mentality of online video games has taken the social aspect out of video games. So when I was a teenager, what was really fun was grabbing your PC, getting in the car with you and your buddies and heading over to your friend's place who had a T1 landline and just going at it for like a whole day. And we hung out all the time.
In my era, it was 007 and Golden Gun.
Exactly.
And they would play together on,
That was being social. That's actually being social.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was a beautiful thing. And a lot of people who are born after that era don't know that that level of being social around video games. So I use that as like as an example of like where the market is being pushed for control, and how people are going to slowly realize that that's not what they actually want from that product. So there's a huge movement online. I'm going to butcher the name, but essentially it's about saving video games, like saving vintage video games, making sure that it doesn't, if everything goes digital, like
It's like retro gaming. That
yeah,
kind
retro
of
gaming, not even that retro. I mean, we're not that old. Like, let's just say like a video game that you bought on CD in the early 2000s. It wasn't that, well, okay, so maybe it was a long time ago. But that technology isn't I don't think it's as outdated as people think what we were doing. You buy that game, you install it on your computer, you still have the key. And it requires a centralized server system or dedicated servers, like, people running their own servers with like the server client and stuff like that. They shut that down. The company shuts it down. You can no longer play that game. So what they're saying is like, that's wrong. You shouldn't be able to just hit a kill switch and end it. And along that vein, I worry about everyone getting their information or their flow of life essentially through the chip, because they are not in control of the data sets that AI is being trained with.
Absolutely. It's happening now.
Yeah.
Like 50-60% of everything you see online is fake. And I can spot it out pretty much every time. And you know how I spot it out? It's how I feel. I know that
That's what I'm talking about with
sounds...
the uncanny valley idea. So that's what that is. It's like you see it and you reject it.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
Real.
It
You
looks
don't
perfect.
know why. Yeah.
But I feel something. I look at it and I'm like, I think this is AI. I don't... And the subconscious, the spirit can pick up on those the tiniest nuances that don't feel human. And yeah, it's so fascinating because I think AI is a beautiful thing.
It's a good tool.
Right? But I
really
use
good tool.
AI maybe, I don't know, an hour a week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's all kinds of studies. People should look this up, of how negatively using AI too much affects the mind. Mm-hmm. Because the mind is a muscle in a way, right? Or it's a machine, and basically using it gives it the fluid, gives it the lubricant, so to speak, right? It's got to work. It's got to problem solve, and it shows that when you use AI, the mind's ability to here's A, here's C. Well, the mind goes, okay, here's B. When you use AI, you don't ever try to figure out what B is. It's given to you.
Yeah.
And so to go along with I love what you're saying. It's really interesting because I don't like dependency.
No.
Right? And so when this world goes towards the AI era, they're thinking, oh, and this is how it's going to be pitched just like this. You need more freedom. Right. Here's a robot to cook your food. You need more time. Here's this AI program to do your taxes and do your scheduling, and it'll do it all for you, and it'll think for you. Freedom, freedom, freedom. But really, you're trading all of your freedom for an artificial reality created by the machines surrounding you.
Right.
And guess what happens? Like you said, when you turn that off, how do I cook? How do I garden? How do I provide? How do I protect my family? And then it becomes Wall-E from AI.
Yeah.
Or AI from Wall-E.
Yeah, AI from Wall-E. Yeah, exactly. I like thinking about that analogy, like how the human race like evolves in Wall-E, because it's like we see that now. It's like we see it, And I like to think of one of my favorite films, Idiocracy. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Heard of it? I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, you need to watch. It's a very good film. I think it's Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson's brother. And it's a crazy story, but essentially the idea is that dependency mixed with smart people not breeding, like 500 years into the future, everyone's really dumb.
Maybe I've seen a clip of this because this sounds really familiar.
It's a really clever movie. It's like very.
Is it like
quotable.
A cult classic kind of a movie?
Yeah, and no one understands, like in the future, that you're supposed to water plants with water
Okay, I've seen
And
a
it's
clip.
because water doesn't have the electrolytes that you have to put, like, it's like their version of like a sports drink. Like they're trying to water the crops with like a sports drink because it has the electrolytes.
Yeah.
It's like they don't
We're not
understand.
too
Like,
far from that right
no,
now.
like, but and when he says no, we should drink water, and he goes, you mean water for like in the toilet? Like that's they don't understand like water. Like the simplest idea of water. So it's like, that's like a very stark like idea of the future. I still think that there's going to be enough of like a rejection of like the modernization, the digitization, and like the linking up. There's going to be enough people where we're going to stay human.
Yeah, I think they're
You
going
know?
to take their yards, honestly, because you see this happen.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be people that are taking their yards and they're going to turn it into this beautiful garden.
Yeah.
And they're going to have their own crops on their front yard and their backyard.
Kind of like
and
the
they're
way
going
it used to be.
And they're just going to be, I mean, honestly, more natural oriented, less technology oriented. They'll still depend on it and use it, but they'll have more of a balance. And then there's going to be the, I don't know what you want to call them, like the overly tech-minded people. That's probably a nice way of saying it, like people who were obsessed. Like there was a guy on our team a while back, and he's like, AI is God.
Right.
And he's like,
Oh,
I
man.
cannot wait. He cannot get the chip fast enough. He's like, I cannot wait to have that in my mind. And he would communicate with us, and we're like, why is this so long and written like
Yeah.
a lawyer? And what he would do is when we would ask him questions, he would
run it
respond
through.
with AI's voice.
Yeah.
And loved it. And you would talk to him, and he was like, he would understand things because he would still live long enough without it. But can you even imagine the lack of empathy, the lack of, and again, he's a very kind person, but imagine, and that's just from doing it for a few years. Now imagine someone that's all they've
That's all
ever
they've
known.
ever known.
Like a kid
Yeah.
right now hits a button and the box from Amazon is on your front step within a few hours. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Versus you and I you wanted a pair of shoes, you get in the car. I lived out in the hills of Ohio before Kansas with the Amish, and we weren't Amish, but we drive by and pass their wagons and go into town, and the person would pull that metal contraption
Yeah.
out that's super
Size your
cold.
foot.
You take your shoe off, you put your foot on it, they push the little thing up, measures your foot, and it's not about being archaic. It was a massive process to
Right.
get a new pair of shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's, boop, I don't like these. Put them back in the box, one piece of tape, boop, they come pick it up.
Yeah.
Boop, here's the new pair of shoes. This one fits, let's go.
Yeah.
And that can happen, literally, that can happen in a day.
Yeah.
On your doorstep.
When you brought up the person that used to work here that was using AI, you mentioned something.
Becoming AI.
Yeah, it's so. I was talking to my wife about it this morning. Actually, it's funny that you brought it up, but she's also very like negative based around AI. Like I've told her like she can use AI to do certain tasks, and she's like, no, I won't do it. And then she asked me, "Is like, why are they doing this? Why are they pushing for this?" And I said, like straight up, I said, I think they're looking for God. I think that the people that are pushing AI, I think they're looking for God. I think that they're looking for the answers. I think that they are looking for how this has happened. And instead of having faith for that, they are going at it the route of gathering all information that we know about, putting it in one place and seeing if like the data sets, everything, training AI on everything that we know as mankind. And somewhere in there is the answer. And they're not going to find it.
So I have another. So let me jump on to another question. Then. You were the principal at Ballet West for 14 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
What was the hardest thing about that job, and what did you love most? And would you call it a job, or?
Yeah, it's definitely a job. So when you're into ballet, you have a idea of what being a professional dancer is like. Really artsy, really just creative, and having fun on a daily basis because you're just doing what you like to do. The job part of it takes a lot of that out, and it's not until you get to perform that you feel like you're finally getting to like do what you like to do.
Yeah, you put in all the hard work to do what you love.
Yeah, and The hard work is, I would put that in quotations.
Okay.
It is, you're at a lot of, you're at the mercy of an organization that is trying to navigate itself through everything that goes on in the world, through donations, through, grants, through the government, like handouts, ticket sales, all that sort of stuff. So, it gets really complicated, maybe a little too regimented. So we, like, dancers are usually in a union. Like, we have like a union. It's called AGMA, American Guild of Musical Artists, and they've tried their best to like make the professional dancing like as much like a job as possible. So you like I've negotiated multiple contracts with the company, and like I understand the ins and outs of it, and really it is not, it's a far cry away from what I had imagined it was going to be when I was younger, like being a dancer.
Because this is the business, practical, logical, and those things really are they're not, there's no feelings there.
Yeah.
It's pure intellectual decision making, hard, calculator oriented. Yeah, it's just unfeeling.
Right.
And it's such an opposite, it's such a far cry from the beauty of the art, which is, there's really not a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not a dancer by any means, there's not a lot of logic and calculations in dancing. It's more feeling.
Yeah, well, yeah. So there's technique that is hundreds of years old that we study in, right? So there is a general guide on how we're supposed to move. But when it comes to ideas and execution, like, you have to figure it out. Like, you can't be told how to do it. Like, you have to just be a good problem solver. Not everything is just handed to you. Now, when it comes to the day-to-day stuff, if you don't have an extremely disciplined mind, it is the worst job to do, because there can be times where you spend 6 hours standing and watching someone else dance. And you can kind of mark the movement in the back of the room, but depending on the day, like, you might not actually dance at all. Like, you do your warm-up class in the morning, and then you have 2 blocks of 3 hours of rehearsal, with a lunch break in between, and you're waiting and you're just watching, and you're like, how am I working right now? I need to like move. I need to get out there. So like, what I recommend for dancers, people that want to become like professionals, like, you have to be so disciplined in your mind. Like, you have to be able to stay present, stay critical, stay extremely focused on what the goal is at the end of the day, at the end of the rehearsal period, at the end of whatever the season, to continue doing what you love to do, which is perform, right? That's what we're working towards. It's very easy to forget that you perform.
What did your parents teach you in your homeschool upbringing that gave you that level of uncanny or, superpower, discipline, and focus?
Well,
do
no,
all
I
your
wasn't
siblings
very
have it?
focused at all. I definitely have ADD.
Do all your siblings have it, by the way? Your level of focus and discipline?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I have very talented siblings, and we all did ballet. We all did music. My older sister, amazing pianist. She got into a pretty nasty car accident and like ruined her wrist, so she doesn't play as much anymore. But she also did ballet. And then her ballet career was kind of cut short because she has type 1 diabetes, and from the point she was 2 years old. So like, her body just like started pretty much bushwhacking her every time she tried to like push in ballet. So that didn't work out for her like professionally, but she was at a high level and trained at a high level. And then my older brother Roy, same idea, trained, never became a professional. He had those opportunities, it just didn't work out. And then my younger siblings, they all kind of did the same thing, ballet. My younger brother Ray and Ron both danced professionally, and I danced with Ronald for 9 years, my younger brother Ronald, and yeah, we were just all inseparable, me and Josh and Ron. And they all understood the idea of it, and then when you're in the midst of it and you're in year 10, it becomes like, what else can I do with my life? That's like what you start asking yourself, like, I feel like I've performed enough. I've pushed my body to the limit.
But what did they teach you? Because so few kids in the era of video games, in the era of too much TV,
Yeah.
in the era of everything just comfortable and easy, right?
Yeah.
What did your mom and dad do to instill in you that level of discipline?
So I was going to say, so my dad had this thing that he would always tell us. It was actually multiple things. His favorite thing was, regardless of what you're doing and how pressured you are, just make sure you're moving at least one. If you're like playing football, make sure you're moving at least one football down the field. So if like one thing represents a football and you've got like 20 footballs, you've got to move at least one every single day. And
just pick one.
Just pick one and push it down the field. Doesn't matter. The second thing that he would always tell us is forbear. Forbear, forbear, forbear. So like regardless of how crappy other people can be, how poor a situation can be, you have your own discipline that you can rely on, and you just have to accept other people's decisions. As if it doesn't affect you, right? So when things are managed poorly and you're like in the middle of it, you're like, oh man, am I going to cause a problem right now? Because I think there's enough of a problem already. Like, you don't want to be causing the problem. You got to forbear. The third thing that I always resonates with me that my dad would say is that I don't care if you dig ditches for a living. You're going to be the best ditch digger. And what that meant to me was, don't be afraid of what I choose to do. I just have to do it full on. Whatever comes my way. If it's a bunch of dirt in a ditch, then that's what it is. If it's ballet in a ballet studio and there's all these personalities and time wasting and all this sort of stuff, like, then that's going to be it, you know? And that's the life I choose. So it's like having conviction in what you are choosing to do and do it. And it was that simple for me. And also, like, you know, growing up, Christian household, conservative, there is a certain amount of responsibility that we have as human beings to be edifying in what we do, like serving God in what we do. When you're doing ballet, you're going to be asked that question, like, how are you serving God? How are you being edifying? And I always thought that ballet was like the pinnacle of visual and performing art that you could possibly do, a marriage of music and physicality and putting it on stage. Like, when people go and watch the ballet and they hear the symphony and like all this sort of stuff, they are moved in a passionate and emotional way. It's a powerful tool. And I want people to feel like there is something above them, that there's beauty, that was a gift, that we were gifted beauty by God, that we can enjoy, we can see it, and we shouldn't shy away from it. We should try to enjoy the gifts that we've been given on earth. So ballet, for me, and I think for the rest of my siblings, is like a really good way of doing that, is sharing God's beauty with everyone. I don't know.
No, I like
something to think about, you know, because like you can make that. You can say anything you do is like in service of God, you know. It's like you have to make sure that your heart is in it and that you enjoy what you do and that you're doing something that could possibly make the world a better place. So,
well, and the human body is the most complicated and fascinating creation on earth.
Yeah.
There's nothing more
so complicated.
Incredible
they
and
don't
complicated
know what they need to know.
and beautiful as the human body, and God created that. And pick any book, they all say the same thing, and it's just human experience. 80%, 90% of communication is metaverbal.
Right.
Ballet there's no speaking in ballet.
Talking.
It's communication with the human body, and you're connecting, and there's energy and frequencies, and all matter is a form of energy. So that dancing, it has an impact.
Yeah.
Right? It connects to people. Why does it connect? Why is it a thing? It wouldn't be a thing if it didn't connect to people.
Yeah.
It's kind of fascinating though, right?
Yeah. I think about it a lot.
So
actually.
you said earlier that you watch that ballet dancer for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
That would be the equivalent of a professional athlete watching tape of the previous game, or an opponent, or someone who's brilliant or really good at something, and they're watching the movement, and they do that for
You're
hours
not
and
sitting
hours.
in a chair with like your Coke, like watching a screen. You're standing with your posture correct, watching, not yawning, not leaning on the bar. Like, there's etiquette, right? So you can't just wear street clothes. You have to wear your full ballet, whatever you want to call it, uniform, and you have to present yourself like a disciplined ballet dancer while doing.
So you have to, the etiquette.
Yeah,
is
no,
watching.
you can't be a slouch. No slouches. No, you can't sit on the floor. You can't observe like a normal human being would observe.
Why? Discipline?
Yeah. So ballet is like 90% discipline, and then the art form comes out of that.
So how did you said you have a little bit of ADD. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Right? How did you get your mind to focus? What did you tap into to get you to focus for 6 hours? Imagine a lot of kids today. My kids, we have video games on like a computer, but we don't have any video game machines. They didn't grow up with that. We don't have. They don't use social media, but we watch movies. They watch YouTube clips and stuff, and they can focus. It's really fascinating. My boy obviously as a dude, loves video games more than girls, which is pretty typical. And they can all focus when they love it, when they're passionate about it. But what did you do? I know what I do for my kids. I'm just trying to think, for 6 hours, for someone that has a hard time focusing, not only could you not just focus, you had to stand a certain way, and I'm sure your muscles were aching.
Yeah.
You were super uncomfortable. What did you tap into? Where did you go?
Music. Just music. The music that we're dancing to. I love music. I love classical music. And for my ADD specifically, like, I was studying what we were dancing to, like, to a T. And I think that there's a lot of science behind, like, classical music and, like, how it helps with, like, learning and stuff like that. That environment, you have to take advantage of that. Like, there's so much beauty in the work that's being done, like, in a ballet studio, like, with just even the music alone. So if I'm supposed to be learning a role and they're not giving me my shot, like, for like half of the week, but then, like, say on a Thursday, they're like, all right, cast 2 or cast 3, you got to jump in and do what we've been working on, only, maybe even better. I feel like the expectations were a little bit weird in that regard. And I would know what I was doing because I understood the music like 100%, right? So a lot of people kind of get caught up on like the moves, the physical demand of it. I just knew what was going to happen. I knew it was expected. Because if you're understanding the music to like a very like deep level, the very natural swells in the music, the feeling of it, like where this goes, that goes, all that sort of stuff, like you can jump in and do anything you want to do. So as someone who's constantly like, my mind is like bouncing around, like in the back of the studio, I'm like trying to make people laugh, like joking around, like that's pretty much all we did all day long. I'm listening to the music as well and making sure that I'm hearing what the person at the front of the room is saying and listening to the music, corrections. So you listen to the corrections that the people that are dancing are getting and you try to apply them to yourself. So the visualization thing comes into play. So you have to visualize yourself doing it. And that's what I'm teaching my students. Like, you got it. Like, if you're watching, you have to visualize yourself doing exactly what that person is doing and get out of like just watching and like trying to like write notes. I don't recommend writing notes other than like to understand like what I think for kids, writing notes is good so you can learn what the steps are called, like the vocabulary and like understanding what ballet is. Like, it's a really good thing. But when you're at a professional level, like you have to move past that and you have to be a little bit more instinctive on like what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, there's a feeling to music. When I love classical music, and when you hear that music, I love all kinds of music. If it moves me, I like it.
Yeah.
There's not like, oh, I like this, I don't like that. The only real thing I don't like is the twangy country. But I love like bluegrass and jazz.
Yeah, I like bluegrass
and I like
a lot
rap
too.
and I like whatever it is. If it moves me, but And as I see ballet, it's making me think of ballet because I've never really overly been. I grew up in Kansas. There was almost like no such thing as ballet in Kansas, and so for me, ballet has not really been a thing. But what I'm picturing in my mind, and I really like it, is I'm watching you listening to the music, and as you hear the music, you're feeling the music, and then the energy, the feeling that comes from those musical notes, the body is moving literally to whatever waves are in the air. It's almost like you're absorbing it, and your body is flowing to the waves of the music. Yeah. And the more in sync, the harmony, just like with music, the music of the physical body and the music of the notes, and they're blending together. Now I'm really curious because I've never been a huge ballet fan, right? But now I actually want to watch it with a different perspective because this is really eye-opening for me to watch someone's body, listen to the music, and then again watch their body and watch how that harmony blends, just like two beautiful instruments playing together.
Yeah, it's something that it's really hard to teach that. So when you're in training as a ballet dancer, that's why I really recommend learning a musical instrument. Like if you're homeschooling your kids, musical instruments are really important.
Yeah, we have piano, cello, and guitar is what each one is playing a different instrument.
Yeah, that's the best thing you could be doing. And when you jump on into the ballet studio, there's a lot of music theory that a majority of the ballet dancers and people who are setting these ballets that is happening behind the scenes that only the concert or like the conductor and like the head of the music department in the company understand what's going on. And then you go into a room where everyone's supposed to understand this stuff, but really they're just worried about the steps. And I was just at a competition, like a ballet competition a couple of weeks ago.
So you still compete? You still perform?
No, I was a juror. I was one of the bad people. And I just remember watching and not feeling like the kids dancing were understanding what their music was doing. They were just doing the steps. And so after watching 150, 200 kids do that, it made it more apparent to me that like we're just analogs, we're catalysts for the music, for people to view the music. You don't see music, you feel it, you hear it. Ballet is so that you can get that visualization of the music as well. One of my favorite things to do as a teenager was use Winamp.
What is this?
So Winamp was like a music player on the PC. It was like freeware, like there was like Windows, like they had their own like music player, like MP3 player like system, and then there was Winamp. Winamp came with a ton of visualizers for the music, and you would just full screen it, and it was just like colors and shapes and everything like that just moving to the music you're listening to. And that was so soothing. It was like, oh man, this is so cool. Like I love, like as like a teenager, I'm like, this is so cool. But like ballet actually has that ability to kind of soothe and bring peace to someone when they can see the music, right? So it's like I said, it's really hard to train dancers in that way. This dancer has to be trained in music to even understand what's going on. Music theory is a good start, and then piano obviously would be the next one I would recommend, and then a stringed instrument would be another one, like super important, like understanding like the ins and outs of like the dynamics of an instrument. Like you have pizzicato, you have arco, you have like going really fast, really slow, long drawn out bow strokes. Like you have to think of your body as an instrument in that same way. And if people aren't doing that, then they're not going to visualize the music. You have to visualize the music in your body.
Yeah, in my mind, what I've been picturing is I'm picturing, I don't know if it's Fantasia where Mickey Mouse is playing and the musical notes are coming alive, and I'm picturing the ballet dancers are the living embodiment of that musical note coming off of the paper, and they're both the instrument and they're the musical note, right? And I'm really curious to watch ballet again, and with a different perspective. This is really exciting for me because ballet was not my thing. Again, in Kansas, it was like, that's just not what people do out there, right? It's football, it's wrestling, it's cowboying, and it's not that I was anti-dance. It just is foreign to me. It's probably the best way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of important work that's been done on video, you know, just to kind of spread that idea, like of all those great movies, like with Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse and Ginger Rogers, like the bringing dance into the media realm. And like Baryshnikov's movies from the 80s. Did you ever watch any of those, like White Nights, Turning Point?
No, my gal's really into like Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, and our family loves the movie Singing in the Rain.
Yeah,
and I love musicals. I absolutely love them. I'm trying to get my kids to really enjoy more movies like Fiddler on the Roof or The Sound of Music. I grew up listening to those movies, and they really did. They moved me. They're still some of my favorite movies.
It's really important.
Yeah, and we're missing that a lot. Yeah. Kids have a hard time because everything it's like this, and I feel like I'm trying to keep them away from the instant gratification, but we're so surrounded and inundated by this, everything that appears at your doorstep. Yeah. Everything is push button, the speed of electricity, you get what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, remember back in the day, dial up, you didn't want to be on a computer. It took too long.
Yeah.
Right? You were like waiting, and it's like, when you're waiting for the computer to connect, and nobody can use the phone, right? Like you were saying, a phone call interrupts your whole world.
Yeah. One thing I like to explain to like my students was when I would rent my VHSs from the library, that I would have to rewind it before we returned it, or else we would incur like a 50-cent fee on the rental.
Be kind,
like,
rewind.
What are you talking about? Like, I'm like, it was like a tape, and you know your VCR would have like a speed rewind. It's like have like a normal rewind and then a speed rewind where you couldn't like view it.
Well, that was a fancy VCR.
Yeah,
a speed rewind was a feature.
Yeah, it was a feature, and you would have to press stop and then rewind for it to activate. Like you didn't want it to be. It's like a different motor essentially. It's like super fast, and they would like try to keep it from damaging like the tape, you know. And they had those speed rewinders at like Blockbuster, where it's like it was just like a rewinder, and they would just like plop it in and just like press go. They had like 10 of them on the desk. Those are the times.
How did your time as the principal dancer at Ballet West, and you know, growing up with your family, the discipline that they taught you, and your life experiences, how does that flow into your ability to teach at the University of Utah today?
Well, I still feel like I'm young enough that I can connect with people. Like, I feel like it's going to get a little bit harder the older I get. The truth is there's a passion that needs to be taught to kids usually. And so if I show that I'm passionate about it, people are going to take more stock into what I'm saying. It's really hard to teach something to a kid if you don't show that you're passionate about it. Yes. So I'm going to bring this up because I've recently started taking class again after like not taking class like for 4 years. And it's because I started teaching my son ballet. He's taking class. In fact, I'm going to teach him later today. We do like just like a normal hour-and-a-half ballet technique class, and then an hour of like rep where they're learning.
And he's digging it?
Yes, and also watching me with a very critical eye. So as soon as I noticed that he was watching and probably wondering like, did my dad even dance for a living? You know, like I don't know if that's what he was thinking, but then that thought popped into my head. So I was like, I need to get back in the studio. I need to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds. I need to get back into shape so that I can show my son that this is something that actually matters to me, and this is something that he can care about too. Instead of just saying, do it because I told you. It's not just because I told you. It's because if you do it, you could do this.
I love that.
I show him like a big jump, bunch of turns, you know, something cool, and their eyes are like this big. They're like, I want to do that. I want to be cool like that. I want to be that. It's the only way to inspire. So you try to inspire your students. I think that's the biggest thing is like I was always inspired by how hard my mom worked raising us kids. I was always inspired by my dad and how hard he took his business like very seriously and was always working, but always spending time with us as much as he could. And it's actually intimidating being a father and owning a business and working and all this sort of stuff now, because I have my parents as like a good example, and I just always feel like I'm falling short. That's what it feels like. It's just like, man, I'm really messing up.
Because you look up to them so much.
Yeah, and also it's like I loved being a kid in the world that they made for me. Like it was, they really focused on making our lives good. And I have to tell my mom that every time I see her. I'm like, Mom, like you did everything, and I know you did everything in your power to just like make things good for us. And I always have to explain that to people. It's like, maybe I'm not from like a privileged home, if you like that connotation. We were very humble. We ate from our garden. We had chickens. We ate from our chicken coop. We slaughtered animals. Like we did all this very homeschooler stuff that people might look down on. But we were so happy we were playing in the mud every day. Mm-hmm. We were so happy that we were using our imaginations every day. And it was a little bit of an adjustment getting into the ballet world and like being around people that had not experienced that. So,
but it gave you a sense of balance and grounding that I think very few people have today.
I want that for people. I want people to be able to do that. And we did it without AI, you know? So like if AI is going to help people do that, I think that there has to be a passion for that in the first place. Mm. And I think that that's going to be a part of the rejection of just like, what is being human? How are we going to navigate this world? We have a finite amount of time on this earth. How am I going to spend this time? You know, like I feel like a lot of people don't think about that, which is, you know, it's kind of scary. That's why ballet is such an amazing thing. It's like, it's very in the moment. It's very like, as soon as you get a little too old, it's like, it's over. You know, it is a good reminder of like your time on earth, you know, and you have to be able to take every moment 100% and do what you can, because you only have so much time to do it. So that's what I try to teach my students, and what my parents have taught me is like, we have to be passionate about what we do. We have to push no matter what. And even if it seems like it's a junk thing to do, like it's going to benefit you regardless of what the outcome is. Maybe you become a doctor after this. Maybe you become a professional ballet dancer. Maybe you become a lawyer, whatever it's going to be. That your time, your discipline in the studio is going to make you that much better at what you do. And it's not ballet specifically, it's the work that you put in.
Breaking point with CW, what was that like? Was that the first time that's ever happened? Was it crazy? Was it fun? A little bit of everything? Tell me more about that.
Okay. So I'll start from the beginning so that we can kind of get an idea of like why I feel the way I feel. So I was in my second or third year in the company, in the Ballet West company, and I had just blasted my back, like blew the lower disc in my back is just like paper thin, couldn't walk, and
like, was it fractured or just?
No, it was just it was a herniated disc.
Oh, okay,
so like,
yep.
you know,
I know
the X-ray looked horrible. I was just like, that's not supposed to look like that. And I sprained my sciatic nerve, so like I couldn't move my legs. To the point where like I couldn't go to the bathroom. I needed my brother Ronald to pick me up and take me to the bathroom.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I mean, that's borderline paralysis.
It was about a week of that, and then I could slowly start moving again. So that happened to me, and during that time, it was BBC Worldwide production company. They came to Ballet West with a pitch to do like a docu-series, reality TV show that was marketed to us or pitched to us like anecdotal to like Black Swan, the movie, to try to like bring reality a little bit to like not this crazy fantasy world of ballet, but like the inner workings of it. So it sounded like a good idea. Didn't seem like they didn't have any nefarious like ideas like that they were trying to push, at least in the pitch. So we voted on it. I wasn't dancing at the time, but we voted on it as a company. They were like, yeah, there's some people who were way against it. And, you know, we could talk about their reasoning, but in general, people were okay with it. And yeah, so they agreed to it. Then the process started of who is going to be on the show. I wasn't dancing. I was at the time romantically I still am, obviously, but I was just like in love with my wife at that point already. And
you were Twitter painted. You were off on a different planet.
Okay, so
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
She's gonna
it was
love
kind of
this.
crazy at the time because she was dating someone, long distance relationship. So it was just like always like one of those things where I was trying to.
You were in love with the girl you couldn't have at this point. Yeah. You were a mess.
Yeah, I was a mess, and it was kind of rumored around the company that was going on, and like, you know, whatever. But it was suggested to the BBC that they follow me and her during that time because it's gonna be juicy drama, you know, like sort of stuff.
Now I can see why. Josh, our producer, was with you on this, right?
Yeah, like throughout the process. So initially I said no, I was not going to be on the show. I told them I was not interested. I didn't audition. I didn't do any of that stuff. They were like pulling in people to like do like little quotes and
it was just because you were in love and you couldn't focus, or what?
No, because I was not interested. I hated reality TV.
Oh, okay, fair.
I didn't want to be on it. So that was how that started. And then they came to me personally. Like I said, I wasn't interested. They pretty much bombarded me with all of this stuff. Like, no, you're going to be like the lead in this show. And like, you're going to be really important. And I was like, yeah, but you know, it's like not that much money. And like, you know, I'm not really interested in that kind of TV. And then I found out that Allison, my wife now, she did it. She was going to do it. I was like, oh man, maybe I should do it with, maybe I should be on the show with
This is your in.
Yeah.
Now she knew you liked her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But she was
like, you know, it's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
It really, like,
well,
you know,
reality TV, man, the drama, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand. I don't like reality TV either. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's drama.
Yeah, it was a lot of drama. Anyway.
So walk me through it, because I'm sure people are going to want all the juicy details.
Yeah, so the day-to-day stuff was probably the hardest part. So they had all these restrictions on what they could do while they were filming you. We couldn't have branding on our clothes. We couldn't say certain words while the cameras were on because they wanted to limit the amount of time that they were spending in post trying to edit stuff out. Mm-hmm. So they would show up to the studios. They would mic all of the participants up with the most ridiculous microphone rigs, like in our water bottles. Like we would have a microphone like pack on our water bottle, and we would walk around with our water bottles like and place them next to their conversation so that the cameras could pick up some of the audio. And I just remember that being probably the weirdest thing. And then the second weirdest thing was that we had to do was these pull out, like these quick hits where they didn't get enough of the story that we were talking about from what we were doing like naturally. So they would have us like go into the hallway and explain a situation to them. For the first season, it was pretty like straightforward. Like, you know, the questions they would ask, it was like, it was pretty obvious what they were pertaining to. Right. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'll expand on that. Like whatever we were talking about. And you would film that and you'd go back to working. And
so describe, for anyone who hasn't seen it, describe what the first season was like. What was the main story?
Yeah, the main story was, you know, it's hard to tell what it was actually about, but we were preparing for a rep, and it was about the competition between the dancers of getting the lead role.
Did they incorporate your relationship into the first season?
They did a lot of it.
So describe that. So she's over where? Was she here in Utah?
Oh yeah, no, we were.
Okay, I thought it was
together.
a long distance relationship.
No, long
so
distance
the guy
relationship.
she was
yeah.
liking, or their relationship, he was gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so you were working it. You were there. You were present.
As hard as I could.
Yeah, good. Hey,
and I was
you won, bro.
I did win, and I'm still winning.
Sorry to the
So,
other dude, whoever you are out there. He'll unsubscribe.
Yeah.
That'll take us down to 8
So
people.
yeah, we would dance together all day long, and like we would go on dates, and then when her boyfriend would come into town, like it was like all of a sudden it didn't exist. So like it was a very complicated.
Oh man,
situation.
that's drama for sure.
Yeah.
And did they put that on TV?
Yeah. Yeah, that was on TV. That whole problem.
Well, that had to mess with your emotions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that, and also like I remember.
Oh man, they had to milk that drama too.
Now
I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah.
They had to make it crazy. Okay, give me one of the most extreme crazy scenarios they did.
I had decided that I was going to break things off with her and take a break, obviously. And I went over to her place. The cameras were already set up. And they mic'd me up. I go in there and I just pour my heart out and say why this is so hard for me to do. And then as soon as I leave the house, they come running out and they're like, "We need you to do it again.
Ugh.
We need you to do like all that
Oh
stuff.
man.
But we need you to do it again. But can you look at the camera, or like, can you like do the lighting thing?" I was like, "No, guys, like that was real."
They're like, no, we don't want real. We're reality TV. We want our version of manufactured real that gets us the most. Yeah, nothing is more
weird.
fake. Ironically, nothing is more fake than reality TV.
Oh yeah, and
you told her basically, "I love you," but every time he comes,
yeah,
it's like I don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh geez, you put
I
it all
to,
out there.
Yeah,
on camera.
On camera.
Man, you got stones on you, brother.
Anyway, so now everyone thinks I'm just like a complete loser, just like I'm actually a cool guy. But
when I'm I mean, at the end of the day, right? The spoils goes to those who tried.
Yeah.
I mean, right? You won.
I won.
You got your sweetheart.
Still winning. So
stick it, other guy.
So that process took us through the season. We ended the season. All this drama is coming out. Company relationships just like blown up. People are just not friends anymore either. And then there's people who are
because they want to be famous and you're taking my spot. That kind of drama. Or?
Yeah, there was a lot of work that my director had to do to essentially show the other dancers that my wife and I were not getting preferential treatment because we were featured on the show. So we were actually, for a good bit during that time and after, I would say our experience at the company was like, we should have quit. We should have left. It was so toxic. And
because they had to purposely neglect you, and then the other people were jealous of you.
It was a very hard time. And so we stuck it out, like we stayed, and
it was that uncomfortable feeling being there
all the time.
And you're like a pariah now. Yeah. And toxic work environments, people don't understand. When those types of feelings, it's just you either fix it or you move on. Those are the only two options.
My wife
and you
says
couldn't
it every
address
day.
it. You couldn't. There's nothing you could say because then they feel like you're being favored.
Right. Yeah. So like we did endure like quite a bit of, I would call it odd treatment. I don't want to say it's bad because we still had good careers. I would say in spite of like what kind of weird stuff was going on.
What's an example of something weird or bad?
Not
bad, excuse me.
Let's just say like you're working on a ballet in a certain role, like a lead role, and then the week before you go on stage, the casting just gets swapped for no reason. And
all that work
just gone. And it was always the same people that you would kind of get pushed aside for, who I don't have anything against those people. Like they're pushing their game, like they need to get on stage, like everyone's trying their best. But it just kept on happening in the same way, and it was just getting so obvious like what was going on that it just became a joke that is still affecting us today.
When it's also demoralizing.
It's so demoralizing. Yeah, just like
sacrifice
putting in the work,
Yeah.
working well with other people, like doing your best to like having like a good working relationship with everyone you're around, and then still feeling like you're getting a knife in the back. It was hard. And then we felt like we couldn't go to HR because like there was really nothing that could be done about it. Like your HR when we were dancing, it was like wasn't really a thing. Now,
Well,
now it's much better, you know, in the dance world. I feel like they really do worry about like, you know, human relations and stuff like that. But then like there was no conflict that you could resolve through HR. Like everything had to be dealt with in the studio.
well, and you're young.
Yeah.
Right? You're
Yeah.
young. You don't like now you look back, I would have said this and done this, and we're all brilliant in hindsight. But
Yeah.
the reality is you're young. I mean, you're pouring out your heart on national or TV, you know,
Keep
to this
bringing
guy.
that up.
Huh?
I said you keep bringing that up. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I did. I looked pretty pathetic on
You know what though?
national
You do
TV.
crazy things for love. My gal who I have today, she came in the library and I was with Bill and Jadel, and I said dibs because it was cute blonde hair, blue eyed gal, and we joked around and I went over and sat next to her, and the idea in my head was brilliant, and I was just going to talk obnoxiously loud in the library at college until she paid attention, and I got to the point to where my buddies were laughing at me, falling out of their chairs. The librarian was yelling at me to leave, and the only person I totally humiliated myself in every way, and the only person I wanted to pay attention was that gal, because that was my idea for the icebreaker. It sounded like a good idea.
Oh yeah.
And then finally, I was like, man, the guy moved, and I took the desk next to her, and that went on for a while, and I pulled my headphones off, and I go, oh, I'm sorry. Am I bothering you? And I'm talking on my cell phone at the top of my lungs in the middle of the library just to make it happen. And the best part is everything I said, they were just dying, holding their guts. Everybody's laughing at me. Librarian comes out multiple times. Just leave. Get out. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm committed because I really thought, you know, for whatever reason, there was a connection of some kind. Obviously not for her. And I said, oh, is this bothering you? She goes, yeah, it kind of is. And then of course my buddies just die. They're done.
Oh my
They
God.
fall apart, and then I get up and leave the library, and yeah, but she's my wife
There
now,
you go.
right?
You gotta.
It
Yeah,
worked
you gotta
out later.
show. Yeah.
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 So the drama, was it well received? Because a love story and all that stuff that you put out there, was
Yeah.
the show, did it do well?
It actually, numbers wise, it did really well compared to other reality shows that were going on at the same time. So they renewed it for a second season.
And they were kind of newer at this time. This is kind of the beginning of reality TV shows.
Yeah, what is it? 2010, 2011?
So what is that, like Fear Factor era?
Yeah, I would say so. There was like was it Jersey Shore was like the really big one at the time? Yeah, Jersey Shore. There was a couple of other like big reality TV shows that were going on, and I think they just wanted to like kind of make they were pitching it as like a highbrow version of like that stuff. So it's like ballet, you know, like it's
Sure.
kind of, it's more sophisticated, but what they were asking for was like not sophisticated at all. You
Yeah.
know, they weren't bothered.
The basest human emotions of drama.
Yeah, like they didn't actually want to learn about ballet, and they didn't want to show anything about ballet. So like they had restrictions on how much music they could use, which is obviously a huge part of what we do. And then due to copyright stuff, they couldn't show us dancing on stage because of IATSE, the stagehand like union. Like they had huge restrictions on like what could be shown on TV without getting a huge payout, you know. So it ended up being just a drama show with a bunch of people that didn't have lives.
Was it worth it? Would you do it again?
If it meant I wasn't going to get married to my wife, then no, I would definitely do it again. Like, you know, like the way things turned out, we started a business based off of like the popularity from the show. Like we made as much out of it as we could. And it's benefited us to the point where we've got 2 beautiful kids. We have work, and we do a lot of fun stuff. Now, we do work a lot. Like we are, like Josh, I'm sure, you know, he's talked to you about like the stuff we do. But it's it's a lot of work, and we're so busy, and we live really crazy lifestyles. So it just hasn't slowed down. It just gets crazier and crazier. So I would say, of course, I would do it again just to make sure that I could get in on this. If that makes any sense.
Sure. No, to have the life you have right now.
Yeah,
with
I'm
you got
happy.
the gal, you got your babies, and
Yeah.
there's nothing I wouldn't do. I'd crawl through hell 10 times over, butt naked, cut up through salt and broken glass to be with my wife and kiddos.
I feel like I might have done things a little bit differently, but I feel like my understanding of what was going on with the show and like the producers like asking us certain questions, like very pointed questions, I knew what they were getting at. A lot of people did not know what was going on and how their techniques of how to produce drama. So I would always use nondescript ways to describe something so they couldn't sound clip me. And they hated working with me because of that. And I always tried to warn people.
They wanted you to play their game and you weren't.
Right. And so I was really hard to work with for that one reason. Is like I was not going to give them anything they could possibly use to say like that I had a problem with someone.
Of course, yeah.
That's what they were trying to do, is like trying to create like, tension between different groups of people.
So it's very safe to say that season 3 didn't happen because of Rex Tilton.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. I'm kidding.
I would take on like pleasure in knowing that. But no, I think it really, I think that reality TV at that point was becoming something a little bit different, and they just wanted to move away from that model. I mean, other companies, after they saw Breaking Point, they tried to do their own version of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like for what it probably was a really good reality TV show, but I hate reality TV. And also, when I saw the first couple of episodes, I had a nervous breakdown.
Did you really?
I did. And I didn't recover. Because
your life was out there in such a
vulnerable
way.
I didn't like what they did with me, and like I didn't like what they did with my wife. Like they set her up to look a certain way, and I just I couldn't handle it. I was struggling like greatly, and I felt like I couldn't tell anyone about it because no one gave a shit about how I felt.
That's one of the hardest things, is when you feel no one understands.
Yeah. I was literally screaming into my pillow every night to go to bed, just like blood curdling scream, because like I felt so like the world was crumbling on me. It was a horrible feeling. I couldn't get out of it. It took me about 2 years to like start feeling normal again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is why you're still dating her at the time.
Yeah.
So she stuck with you through a really low point.
Yeah. I mean, we went through it. We went through a bunch of different like iterations of relationship, and I feel like as soon as I popped out of it, I bought a ring and I proposed to her.
How did you? What happened? How did you overcome your depression? Because you were depressed.
Yeah, I was severely depressed. So I had to make amends. So like what I started to do when I realized that like I just had this horrible like dread and guilt like hovering over me all the time, just like who I was as a person. I started calling people that from my childhood and just apologizing for being a dick. And like even if it was something small, like I needed to find clarity in who I was as a human being, and like, are you going to judge me? Like I started worrying about like how people viewed me.
Well, yeah, your whole life is now on a platter for the whole world.
And that actually didn't help at all. That like worrying about how people viewed me made it worse.
No, it never does.
And
it has to come from here.
Yeah, and so I had to forgive myself.
Mm-hmm. That's the hardest.
And I prayed so much. I was praying all the time, going to church, talking with my pastor, like just wonderful Pastor Mike. He did our wedding, and like just a wonderful person. And he's so wise, and it's just like I remember going to a doctor, and like the doctor was like, I don't want to put you on any prescription, but have you tried going out into the wilderness and just like screaming? I'm like, yeah. what else can I do? You know, it's just like I was going through it like so bad. And
it's because you cared. You were allowing yourself to care what the world thinks.
yeah.
And there's no control in that.
So Twitter had just kind of blown up.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting really big. And I was caring about things that were out of my control.
Yes.
And that's why I am so adamant about what I said in general about what I'm worried about. It's like just caring about the people that are around you is like that comes from a place of experience where the whole world, it seemed like the whole world was like attaching me to this like idea that didn't exist. Like I was some pathetic loser and my wife, then girlfriend, was just like not treating me well.
It was a perversion of reality, right?
And
they shouldn't call it reality TV. They should call it perversion TV because that's
Yeah.
really what they're doing. They're distorting the reality to such an extreme.
I didn't, because of that, I didn't have a good grasp of who I was and what I was doing. So it took me a while to just kind of come to terms with the decisions that I had made. And they weren't beautiful and they weren't good. But I was going to continue doing what I was doing and just try to make myself a better person. And the amount of fame that I experienced was very little, like when it comes to like the total amount of fame, like the amount of like who we were touching. But that I think is more to say about like my personality. I'm a very personal person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like telling people how I feel in general. I like keeping it in. I don't want people to know what I'm thinking because I'm a very personal person. I'm always afraid of judgment. And when that show came out, it was like, not only was it like me sharing TMI at a party or something like that, it was like the whole world like now knew who I was. And I didn't care for that. I didn't want that.
And it was a painful, hard thing for you. Your heart was getting kicked in all the time. You were on this emotional roller coaster, and it's like they're eating it in a cuisine for their enjoyment. It's like your suffering is their meal.
Yeah. And I remember like people that I've known like back home just like really worrying about me just based off of the show, because they were like, this doesn't seem like right, you know, like, are you okay? I was like, no, I'm not okay. Like, this is really weird. And also, like, dancing for a living is extremely difficult, like, psychologically. So I was suffering at work, too.
What is so psychologically difficult about dancing?
Well, for me, it was I know this is going to really sound weird, but I was struggling with the idea of life in general, and like, what am I going to do with the time that I have here? And I felt like I was wasting my time, and all of a sudden it's just like I felt like maybe in 1 week I was going to be dead. What am I going to do? What am I going to do right now that's actually going to matter and do anything? And I was struggling with that idea.
Were you having dark thoughts? Is that why you said?
Like I was.
So you were saying I might not be here in a week.
Yeah, and it was an irrational fear because like I was healthy.
So you weren't thinking of taking your life. You were thinking of like, what if?
What if? And like like I said, it was irrational. It literally felt like there was a tidal wave like coming through downtown Salt Lake City about to drown me, like all the time. And
anxiety.
It was horrible. Like I don't want that for anyone. And like I really want to just say, like, if anyone's dealing with that feeling, like it can and it will get better, and you have to latch on to things that you find are important to you, and instead of focusing on the negativity, you have to find the good things and latch onto that like so hard, because it is so easy to get caught up in the negativity. So that's what I'm talking about in like the psychological part of like ballet. It is such a negative like atmosphere.
Let me add to what you're saying, because I think this is really important. When you're going through, I've been depressed before, but it didn't last very long. And what I found is depression is a stagnant thing. Mm-hmm. It's like water that stops flowing, that becomes stale and rancid over time. And the enemy for depression, or the cure for depression, is movement, activity. You have to go to work. It's not you need to try, you must go to work. Something, anything, the greatest journeys we take happen within the confines of our own mind and within our own heart. That's the journey. That's the journey you had to take, because you can't fix those things that break, that pain that you feel. There's no outside remedy that will ever cure it, because I'll give you, I did this with my kids the other day. How strong are you? That's not strong enough. How fast are you? That's not fast enough. This is years ago. I talked to him about this. How smart are you? Not smart enough. What color's your eyes? They're not blue enough. Long enough hair. Do you weigh too much? Weigh too little? All these different things. When is enough enough?
Right.
It can only come from here. You have to find your version of enough. You have to find your version of what matters in this life, because it is your life. It is no one else's. Yeah. You are a unique, individual, eternal soul. Until you comprehend that for yourself, and until you find harmony and joy in your imperfections.
Yeah.
Right? The blueprints, the imperfections and your failures are these beautiful blueprints. And God, in His infinite wisdom and knowledge, said, hey, here is how I'm going to give you the blueprints. You're going to suffer. And then what will be unveiled to you, if you look, if you get up again and you do the work. If you just fall and you're down in the dirt, down in the mud, and you stay there, well, out of that suffering, out of that failure, on the other side of you, up out of the ashes, out of the dirt, rises these beautiful blueprints, right? And it's energy, music, melody, words, feelings, emotions. But it's there. All you have to do is get up again, because that's every time you fall, that appears somewhere.
Yeah.
But you cannot have it unless you crawl out of the dirt, out of the suffering, out of the hardship, out of the sacrifices, and you go grab it and pull it in.
Yeah.
But it's there. But you have to get to work. You have to get up. And there are very few people who are severely depressed that work really hard and are good people. That's the caveat, right? There's a lot of depressed people who work really hard, but they take advantage of people or they do bad things. They're depressed too. Yeah. But when you're a good person and you work hard, try to find a depressed farmer who works their butt off.
Right.
Right? And they're honest. Now, don't get me wrong. They're frustrated. They're stressed. Many of them are broke.
For everyone.
Huh?
Life is hard for everyone.
Yes.
It's a universal truth.
Yeah, and look what happens when they stop working in the fields or they stop working on their farm. They die.
Right.
They'll be 80, 90 years old. You pull them out of that farm environment, they're gone in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Almost every time. Because that gave them purpose. And there's not a lot of time to be depressed and go into yourself when you're actually moving and working on it. So anyway, I go on a big tangent because my childhood was pretty rough, and I've gone through some hard times, near bankruptcy a few times, and there's only one common factor that pulls people and myself away is action, movement. 100%. Do something, anything. Bad relationship, what did I do? I'd feel that hurt and missing them in the morning, and you feel like ridiculously lonely.
Yeah.
Unhealthy lonely. It doesn't even make sense that you feel so lonely. I'm the one that ended it. And wonderful person. I just knew that she wasn't the one. And so what did I do? I started kickboxing.
Right.
And I would train until the skin was hanging off my shins, because you got to have an equal and opposite reaction to the pain.
Yeah.
If you just kind of try, but the pain hurts that much, it's not enough. You have to find enough movement, enough action, enough of something that you can put that level of negative or hurt intensity into something that grows you in some way. Yeah. Performing, music, dancing, lifting, kickboxing it was for me. And man, what a beautiful life. And the love I have for my Ruthie and my babies today, I didn't even understand what love was back then.
Yeah.
I didn't even comprehend the beauty and the joy that was waiting for me. And all I had to do was get up out of this self-imposed mud pit that I had crawled into.
That's what it is.
Because nobody gives you depression.
No.
You choose depression, right? Nobody's like,
hey,
tough
reality.
Yeah. Nobody's like, hey, here's a box of depression. We open. Oh, I don't want this, right? That's what you should do. But what happens is something happens, and then you're like, I'm gonna go that way.
Yeah, the wrong. Yeah, and for me, like that was the problem. Was I felt like I didn't have an out. I felt like I didn't have a way to escape. Like I would go to work, and it would be just constant reminders of like the mistakes I had made, like just pouring myself out, looking a certain way, like not being diligent in how I connected with people and how I communicated with people. And
And being so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Because ballet is perfectionism to an extent.
Yeah.
Like you have to, again, do it right, do it right, do it right, do it right. And so to have that with your emotions, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're feeling like a failure.
Yeah. Oh, every day. It's like now I feel like I am doing better than most people because I have the two most beautiful little boys, a wonderful, beautiful wife, and we are doing it. We're making it work. And I want that experience for as many people as possible because it truly is joy bringing. Like it makes me happy. And I just love I love being a dad. I love it. And I like sharing that with the kids when I teach. Like I want people to be able to experience life properly. And it's not just about ballet. It's about like how to approach ballet and how ballet is not an evil entity that hurts you and you have to like forget who you are. Like, no, you have to put yourself into it or else you're not going to get any dividends. Yeah. You're not going to get anything back. It's like an investment. So if you go through this ballet training and you're not accepting what it is into your life and you're just hoping that you get a job from it, it's not going to pay you back.
Yeah,
it doesn't give
the
you
world
any,
does not reward mediocrity.
No, it doesn't. So like if you're going to do it all the way and find ways to enjoy it because it is a beautiful art form, and when people are exposed to it, like truly exposed to it, they always respond with, "Whoa. That was different," or "that was athletic," or "that was beautiful." The music, the story, the costumes. Like there's always an aspect to the ballet that affects people. So that's why I always enjoyed it. And I want people to just remember that. And
what pulled you in the end? What was the thing or things plural that pulled you out of the darkness?
It honestly, like I did what I told you was what I was worried about, and I started connecting with everyone who was close to me and caring more about what they were going through and trying to make sure that the energy that I was putting out was not making the world around me worse, and bringing the room up whenever, like, I was such a downer and I was so depressed. I would realize, like, I'm not going to make anything better in this world if I keep continuing like this. Like, why am I so worried about myself right now? I need to worry about my brothers. I need to worry about my sisters. I need to worry about my parents. I need to get out of this funk. Like, even during that time, I remember telling my parents, I'm not coming home during summer to work. I'm not going to come see you guys. Like, I can't handle you guys. And I remember that decision. Maybe it was good for our relationship, like as a family, like me telling him, like, getting space or whatever. But that was the wrong thing to do. I should have been closer to my family. I should have been like jumping at the bit to go home during our layoff and just being around people that I knew that I loved. And I just relied. Honestly, what helped the most is I relied on the stuff that my parents taught me. That helped me the most. And like I felt like I had just like dropped out of that, and I was so caught up with what ballet was and how people thought of me. And
see, this is so beautiful, and I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. That was the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
What you just walked me through and all of us through, that was the gift.
Yeah.
The suffering is not in vain. It's not pointless. It only becomes pointless when you don't get up again. The suffering is the key. It's the portal, the door, the gateway, whatever you want to call it, to unlocking the blueprints, the higher level of thinking, the higher road, the higher level of consciousness. Without that darkness, you couldn't understand the light.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
It's true.
Let me ask these last two things.
Mm-hmm.
In the world today, there's things that there's so many things between wars and corrupt governments and the food system being broken and AI and on and on. specifically, what are you most concerned about
Mm,
for the world or for yourself, your family, however you want to look at it moving forward?
yeah.
And then the last one is, what are you most excited about? What are you most thrilled that could come to fruition in our lifetime?
Yeah. So when it comes to like current events, I feel like I need to remind myself and everyone around me that nothing that's happening right now has everything that's happening right now, it's happened before.
In one
There's-
form or another.
In one form or another, you know, maybe it was before our lifetime, maybe it was like when we were kids and we just weren't paying attention, but there's nothing new under the sun, and the world is going to world, and it's always going to have the same problems over and over and over again. That's a very biblical way to look at it as well. So I actually find peace in knowing that nothing special is happening right now. It might scare people. It's going to scare people when information and media get more and more like in your face. There's a lot of ways for you to ingest the media. Like you get on your phone, it's like even my phone is spewing propaganda at me, and I didn't even ask for it. It's like I get notifications like, oh, this happened. That was like, are you upset? Like you have to get riled up about this.
Yeah, it's like a freaking fire hose on full throttle in your face.
Yeah, and it's like, do I become callous to it? Do I become like stone cold to it? Or do I care about everything that's going on around me, literally in my vicinity? Are people happy around me? Can I help this person that I'm in the room with? So there's only so much we can do when we're reading the news. Getting mad about this, that, and the other, it's a exercise in futility. I hate to say it. You can't control people. You don't even know what's in people's minds. I don't know what's in your mind. You don't know what's in my mind. But if we've read the Bible, we know in general like what people's hearts are going through, right? We've been told what is in man's heart, right? So there's a certain amount of understanding and grace that needs to be given to people around us on a day-to-day basis, even if we do disagree on things. Like you have to have grace. You need to put grace back out into the world. So my fear is that we get so connected to the phone, the media, the propaganda, whatever it is that we forget about our fellow human beings, mankind, just like in the room with us. That's why I was so upset about like always connected video games. I remember having camaraderie with my friends that we would play Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament with, and Age of Empires, all these games. We'd get together, we'd play these games, we'd talk about it, we'd take snack breaks and just like talk about movies and stuff, like just connecting, bonding with people.
Well, the games back then really had an end.
Yeah.
Right, you could only play for so long, and then you just
Yeah,
kind of
I mean-
you just want to go do like Mario 3 was one of the funnest video games ever.
Yeah.
You get the Tanuki suit and the hammer, suit, and some of them weren't even that cool. You'd explore, but it's kind of like this is the end of this world, end of chapter.
Yeah.
And you could go on and on and on and on, but the game wasn't really built
It's not really
to
a game
just
at
never
that point.
stop.
Right, yeah.
Right, Mike Tyson's Punch Out was my favorite game ever, and I remember when I finally beat Mike Tyson, it was like the greatest accomplishment. It was so hard. His freaking lightning uppercut is ridiculous, too. Anyway, but the reality was you'd fight and you fight different fighters, and you just pause and kind of take a break for a while.
Yeah.
Go do something else.
Go do
wasn't,
something else.
And they even gave you codes to start where you left off.
Yeah.
And now again, now the game is meant to. It's like reading a good book that you can't put down.
Yeah.
They've come so far. A great example for me was Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
I played that game, and I would make up being sick just to stay home and play. It was my senior year in 1998, and it was the greatest video game adventure I have ever been on times a million. It was amazing. I remember actually feeling emotions. I didn't know video games could make you feel deep emotions. It was this beautiful visual experience. I just remember being transported to a different world, so to speak. And I also realized I wasn't getting anything done.
Yeah.
And so since 1998, I've never owned a video game console since
Yeah.
1998.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, I grew up poor in a trailer. There's no way I'm going to change my life if I keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that my dad was always like worried about with like the video games, because we didn't have like video game consoles. Like we always just did PC, and we used it for work and play,
Yeah.
right? And it was one of those balance things. Like I've had to learn that in my life. I'm huge into computers in general. Like I love that stuff. But video games, it used to be a passion because it was a way to connect with people. I liked the connection with people, and I use that as an example with the way things are going in the world. Is like if you take the time to reach out to the and be with the people that you're physically surrounded with, like that's going to balance it out. Like you can't worry about things that are going on outside of your view, because you have to believe that there are people just like you in those situations that are going to think the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and are going to help their own situation. So like we can have our opinions on things, we can share our opinions with people, but when it comes to stuff that's like outside of your control, I think that people are getting a little too uppity about that, and we need to find a way to connect with the people that are in the room with us.
This is healthy for me to hear too, because sometimes I get there's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Because the corrupt government and the big pharmas and the agricultural, like there's twofold to this, right? What can you do? But then again, the other question is, what can you do?
What can you do?
Right? So, because that same question is, you feel so powerless, you can't connect. This giant, amorphous, shape-shifting evil monster that profits off our pain and suffering. They're parasites, right?
Parasites, yeah. And
in the same breath, it happened on my watch, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast. I don't want to be famous. I'd love for no one to care who I am before I, kick the bucket, except my gal and a couple of buddies, my kiddos, like that, whatever. That's not something that's important to me in any way. It was really hard for me to do this, but at the same breath, it's what can I do?
Right.
So there's a balance somewhere in there of do enough to hold these people accountable and change the world, because we have to do something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't let it eat you up, because I get so mad.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it eats me alive, because I consent to be governed. You need governance in a civil society. You have to have something. You have to have the yellow lines on the road. You have to have a stoplight, or it'd be chaos. In the same breath, I don't consent to be ruled by monarchs and dictators, which is exactly where we are. And I have a hard time being ruled. Goes back to control and bullying.
Yeah.
Because you don't do what they want, gun to your head, jail or death.
Yeah.
Those are your options.
So it's what you're bringing up is something that the founders of the United States were dealing with, like the exact same problem, and it hasn't gone away.
And it's even worse now than it was then.
Yeah. I mean,
3% versus average American paying almost 50%.
Yeah. I think the problems were different back then. I think it was more about literal survival at that point. It's like technology has brought us so far, right? So we're comfortable. Now we're comfortable. But
the level of comfort too is hard to comprehend.
It's hard to comprehend.
Like our homeless are wealthier and more well fed than 70% of the entire world.
It's good to like humble yourself like every once in a while and realize how privileged you are. And in the same breath, it's always good to make sure that everyone around you can be taken care of, or at least there's been some sort of like energy into like what's going on around you physically. And then what I'm really like, I guess, looking forward to is the eventual, like, I'm just looking forward to my kid taking over. Like, I love seeing my son learn how to read, learn how to interact. I'm excited for the future. Like, in the same time, I'm afraid. I'm also really excited to see my son just grow.
I love that.
Both of my sons, actually.
I've never heard that one, but yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Is seeing them experience the world for the first time is so exciting, and it just fills you with joy and energy and love, and it's so rewarding for everybody, for you and them. So you're most excited to watch your son experience the world.
Yeah. And I
That's
just
a good
want
dad comment.
yeah, I guess so. I just want to make sure the world is like somewhat, like functioning. It just needs to function so people can grow. And, we could talk about how that happens all day long, but there's only so much we can do in our current situation, the way that we've allowed things to get for comfort.
Yeah.
We're too comfortable to do anything about it. We're like those humans in Wall-E, just like floating through space, slurping our Slurpees and hovering around in our seats.
Well, you're a rock star in my book. Brother, that was fun.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
I love the way your mind works. I love the way you put thoughts together. You're a fascinating human being.
Dude, you're the fascinating person. Like, this room is so cool.
Some would say fascinating. Some would say super nerd. It's all kind of the same thing.
Well, you're my kind of people, so I'm just going to leave it at that.